You were not overthinking because your mind was bored. You were overthinking because his behavior kept changing. One day, he sounded sure. The next day, he made you feel like you had imagined it. And after a while, you stopped reacting to what he gave you. You started studying it. During a call, you noticed a small drop in his warmth. Not anger, not even rudeness, just less. A shorter answer, a pause where he usually laughed, a yeah that landed flat. And instead of staying present in the conversation, you started watching every small change in him. Was he tired? Or had something changed again without him saying it? That is where the trap began. Not when you cared. Not when you missed him. It began when you had to become careful just to feel connected to him. You started using his response time to decide whether everything was still okay. If he answered fast, your body relaxed. If he answered late, your whole mood changed before you even knew what he would say. You learned the difference between a warm sentence and a polite one. You noticed when he gave enough to keep you calm, but not enough to let you rest. Because you could not name what was happening yet, you blamed your own mind. You told yourself you were too sensitive. You told yourself other people did not notice things like this. You tried to act easy, but every change in him gave your mind something new to analyze. The first truth you avoided was simple. A steady man would not have made you work that hard to understand where you stood. He did not have to be cruel for this to hurt you. The inconsistency itself was enough. It taught you to treat every tone, delay, and small piece of attention as something to decode. You were no longer only talking to him. You were trying to understand which version of him you were getting that day. You protected the connection by giving his inconsistency a softer name. You did not call it confusion at first. You called it stress. You called it being busy. You said he had a lot on his mind. That excuse did not come from nowhere. There were moments when he was present enough to make you believe the distance was only temporary. He could be warm for one evening. He could explain himself in a way that sounded reasonable. He could look at you like nothing was wrong. And for a few hours, your mind stopped working so hard. So when he changed again, you reached for the explanation that hurt less. You remembered the long day he said he had. You remembered the pressure at work. You took those details and used them to cover what was right in front of you. He was not openly mean. He gave short answers, stopped asking about your day, and spoke in a tone that made you feel like you were interrupting a life you were supposed to be part of. Instead of saying, "This is not enough," you defended him in your own head. You stopped asking whether his behavior was acceptable and started asking whether your reaction was reasonable. That was the excuse that turned your attention away from him and back onto yourself. Because once you made your mind the suspect, his behavior did not have to answer for itself. Every uncomfortable feeling became something you had to explain away. You would not let yourself admit that his behavior was hurting you. The excuse let you keep him close without asking what this connection was doing to you. It allowed you to accept attention that made you alert instead of settled. And it kept you adjusting to a man who gave you enough proof to stay and enough doubt to keep studying him. By then, his inconsistency had a cost. It was not only confusing you when it happened, it was following you into the rest of your life. You could be at work, staring at something simple, and still feel half of your attention pulled somewhere else. A normal task took longer because your mind kept returning to the same question. What changed? You read the same line twice. You missed part of what someone said. You smiled at the right time, but you were not fully in the room. That is what this kind of uncertainty does. It does not always make you cry in public. Sometimes it makes you quiet. Sometimes it makes you cancel a plan because you do not have the energy to explain why your mood dropped. Sometimes it makes you check yourself before you speak, because one honest sentence might make him pull away even more. He gave you enough closeness to make distance feel personal. Every time he became warm again, you started doubting everything you had understood while he was distant. Just when you thought you understood what was happening, he changed again and made you question everything. So your body started preparing for it. When he was warm, you tried not to enjoy it too much. When he was distant, you tried not to panic. You became someone who had to manage your expression, your tone, your questions, your timing, even your excitement. Not because you were dramatic, but because you had learned that showing too much could make him pull away again. Look at what that did to your days. You stopped deciding based on what you wanted. You started deciding based on what would not disturb him. You left things unsaid because you did not want to sound difficult. You accepted weak answers because pushing for real ones might cost you the little peace you had. And the hardest part is this. Your mind was not inventing a problem. It was responding to a man whose care did not stay steady long enough for you to rest in it. The cost was not only that you thought too much, it was that nothing he gave you stayed clear long enough for you to trust what you knew. Every change made your mind start over, because no answer stayed true for very long. You kept believing because the warm moments felt real, and maybe they were. That is what made this harder to see. If he had been cold all the time, your mind would not have had so much to argue with. But he was not only distant. He could soften. He could sound interested. He could return after pulling away and make things feel normal again. So you held on to the moments when you could finally relax. There may have been an evening when he was easy with you. No tension in his voice, no careful answers. He remembered something you told him. He made you feel, for a while, like you had been wrong to worry. When that happened, your body did what any tired person would do. It relaxed. Not because you were blind, because relief can feel like proof when you have been living with uncertainty. You were not creating a problem out of nothing. You were trying to use the good moments to explain away the painful ones. You wanted the closeness to be the truth, and the distance to be the exception. That is human when someone has already become emotionally important to you. The warm moments may have been real, but they could not prove that the warmth would still be there when the relationship required honesty, effort, or a difficult conversation. One good evening did not make the next week of confusion easier to live with. A man can have feelings and still not give you something steady enough to rely on. His kind words can be sincere, and he can still leave you studying what changed by morning. He can enjoy your presence and still fail to show up in a way that lets your mind stop guarding itself. You can stop blaming yourself for believing the warm moments. You stayed because there was something there to remember. There were moments that made you feel unfair for doubting him. There were enough small returns to make you question your own reaction. But the question was never whether every warm moment was fake. The question was whether his care stayed steady enough for yesterday's answer to remain true today. The way forward is not to think harder. Your mind has already done enough unpaid work for a connection that kept changing. The small step is this. When he becomes unclear again, do not begin by decoding him. Pause before you write, explain, or ask him to clear up what he left vague. Maybe he answers in a way that gives you almost nothing to stand on. Not cruel, not direct, just vague enough that your mind wants to fill the empty space. You feel that old pull to review his tone and decide whether he is still close or starting to pull away. That is the moment to interrupt it. Not with a speech, not with a dramatic ending, just with one honest pause. Put the phone down before you write the paragraph that tries to pull certainty out of him. Respond only to what he actually said. Do not fill in the parts he left unclear. Let the rest remain unanswered for now. That pause matters because it brings your attention back to what his behavior is doing to you. Instead of asking why he sounds different, you notice what that change is doing to you. Instead of trying to guess what he means, you notice whether what he gives lets you stay present in your own life. You do not have to make a final decision in that moment. You only have to stop doing the work for both of you. You can leave the paragraph unsent. You do not have to spend the evening proving that you are relaxed. What he left unclear can remain unclear without becoming your job to repair. Return to the part of your day that his change interrupted. You do not have to understand what shifted in him before you are allowed to continue your own life. This will not remove the ache immediately, but it will weaken the trap. Because the trap survived every time you treated his inconsistency like a puzzle you had to solve before you were allowed to feel steady. Confusion is already information. You do not have to understand every change in him before you believe what the uncertainty is doing to you.